Yes, Gregors, you're up.
Yeah, hello. So I'm happy to announce that we are at 10% of cloud native job logs rollout in the production environment. We plan to go for 25% tomorrow. And yeah, I hope that is going to progress nicely in the next following weeks. So yeah.
Cool. Camille?
Yes, so I have pretty extensive update on pages. Like since 3 weeks we are running docs GitLab without like any problems. We tried percentage rollout up to 10% out of the data that we have because we are right now serving from the CI artifacts. And like if we notice problems which got fixed, we actually now back to the percentage rollout. We're actually planning that tomorrow we're gonna increase the percentage rollout to 25%, which in real terms should kind of make it around probably around 10 to 15 unique domains being served at the actual moment. As kind of realized for the performance, it seems so far from our testing that it scales linearly with amount of the requests. You can read more details about the performance, added latency, and the different processing costs. But it's kind of still moving piece because we are optimizing next and next aspects while we work on the other stuff. This is from what was done. Gary, your item. Sid, you had a question.
Actually, Jason.
Yeah, thanks. It's so awesome that this is already out, and I think there was a lot of diligence done here up front, and it's kind of this quick rollout is a testament to that this direction is the right way. I think it's awesome that it's only 25 milliseconds. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit of what that is? I understood this to be like, hey, we know where the files in the zip are, and we just go to object storage and we say, hey, start at this location in the object storage, and we download that and we send it to the user. Is that the latency,
yeah,
like 5 milliseconds to download part of an object file instead of going to a disk, or what is that consist of?
So like 25 milliseconds is the lowest amount of time that you have to do in order to receive the response from the Google Cloud. 25 milliseconds is the time to the first byte on the kept alive connection. So given that like each user request translates to a one-to-one request to the object storage, time to the first byte is like 25 milliseconds, basically. And like, since we are fetching exactly the piece that we care about, and like we do some caching for other pieces that are that we may pre-calculate in some cases. Basically, for the majority of the cases, each user request translates to exactly one request to the object storage to fetch the relevant part. And in line, we kind of decompress that and serve that to the user in the form that user is expecting. So this is how it works. Of course, there is like, it's if you have the hot cache, but if you start with the new archive, the cost right now it's 3 requests to open the archive, but we're gonna shrink that to the 2 requests in the one of the future iterations. So like opening this archive, reading the metadata, it's something infrequent because we are caching this structure in the memory. Now, like if you ask about the cost of like caching this in the memory, it's right now 260 bytes per a single entry of the zip. But if we at some point figure out that this is too large, we can shrink that to 50, 60 bytes in the best scenario. So like the things that we kind of see here is like docs GitLab, it's like pessimistic case. It's like very big, 22,000 files. It takes actually around 50 milliseconds to open this archive and cache that in the memory, something like that. It takes even 6 milliseconds to create acceleration structure. So from our testing, like we didn't really find another case than docsgitlab.com. But there is like a safeguard that we're gonna be building. It's like setting upper limit of the files to 100,000, which seems way beyond even what we currently use for the docs, to have like more predictable performance. So this is like a little of the backstory about different performance aspects of that.
Cool. This is all very cool. Just have to ask, like, hey, you said getting it from Google Cloud. Do we have Cloudflare in front? And if we do, why was there an outage this weekend because there was a DDoS? Is that still something we need to like fix manually?
You talk about the Cloudflare in front of the GitLab pages, right?
Yeah, CloudFront. No, not
Uh,
Cloudflare in front of GitLab pages.
So like what we are doing is kind of completely independent of CDN in front of the GitLab pages. So it's definitely possible to have that.
Yeah, I think we should put a CDN in front of it.
There is one tricky part about the CDN is like TLS SNI, which is like the support for the custom domain over HTTPS. But definitely we can fairly super easily put that in front of the GitLab.io if we want to. There is like this challenge with this TLS SNI to serve custom domains. But from what I talk with the people of the company here, is that we have actually some ways to approach that using Cloudflare workers if you would like to.
Cool. Well, I'm not telling anybody to do anything, but it would make sense for me to put a CDN in front of what we're doing today.
And I'm adding a note here, but due to both the DDoS this weekend and one actually today, we're looking at reprioritizing some work that helps us get Cloudflare in front of pages. It's a little bit complicated right now based on the custom domains and some other architectural nuances.
Cool. Yeah, and as Camille said, like let's maybe get it in front of .io first, and then do the custom domains. Glad to hear we're already looking at that. Thanks, Camille. Thanks, Ben.
There was a
Jason.
question from Jason too.
Sorry, John, I interrupted. What was that?
Yeah, same. There was a question from Jason.
Right.
I think Josh or Jason was okay.
Yeah, Jason's like a 1-up.
Yeah, I was a little above. So I was going to ask it, how far of a separation can we confirm that we actually have right now in greenfield installations when Pages is enabled? I'm looking to move forward with the work to enable Pages compatibility with the Helm charts. I know that we're not at 100% at this point, and there's some future work that needs to be done. But I'm just trying to get a strong idea of exactly where we are. I do see some answers below, so if we want to come to that, that's okay.
So like quick, like enabling cloud native to have this configuration, I think this is the right moment to start having that, because I'm not sure how like the feature flag rollout's gonna go. We are really like very close on finishing all the engineering work on GitLab Pages and GitLab Race for the new installations. So like if you would have purely cloud native new installation, it's very likely that it may finish in this milestone. So getting cloud native configuration could be really right moment to have. It really depends on the rollout of the feature flags that we have now, how quickly we get buckets, how the testing gonna look like. But as the like engineering aspects, like we are very close to finish and move on to data migration as for the baseline implementation.
Okay. Other than getting the configuration in place, which we actively have in progress, the item that stands out is we don't currently have a container that has just Pages within it. And I believe that we're still facing a problem architecturally within the application due to access controls requiring shroot behaviors that aren't possible inside of a container. That's the one thing that we can't do right now. So at the moment, we still have to operate in a hybrid behavior because Pages has to run separately to do all of the features our customers expect.
You talk about access controls, or you talk about the root?
The two are bound together, from what I understand.
No, access control works completely separately.
Okay, so the in-place shroot was a problem in the past. I thought they were bound. Maybe they are separated now.
Feel free to we can discuss that.
Yeah.
I can show you, but I don't really think that we have any blockers for GitLab Pages being separate container as soon as we start using object storage.
Okay, great.
Josh.
Yeah, I just had a quick question on the proxy model. Effectively, if there's a cost differential here, I'm just thinking back towards the fairly significant cost benefits we were able to achieve with the direct download of artifacts. And since we're involved in both, I would, curious on your thoughts.
So the only cost that we have internally in accessing object storage is an amount of the requests. There is no egress traffic cost between GitLab Pages and the object storage packet itself. If we would have that in the separate availability zone or something like that, there would be, of course, cost. But this is today non-existing. So the cost per, I think, 10,000 requests is $0.004 as the last time I checked. Currently, a single request translates to something close to 1.2 requests to object storage. Of course, putting CDN in front, we reduce this number by significant amount. However, we will have to likely be prepared for that to send a proper cache control headers. So as for the cost, it's hard to compare that apple to apples because NFS with the spinning or solid state drives and compute and servers and data storage, I'm not sure if it's more pricey than object storage or not comparing the requests. It's hard to really to compare that. But the only cost implied with the object storage is the data storage and amount of the requests that we are firing. We're gonna likely have very good estimate as soon as we start storing data on a separate bucket. Maybe gonna have some cost estimates then and things like that. But Josh, if you are interested about amount of the requests that we fire today from what we run today, we have metrics for that. So we can probably even roughly try to estimate that number even today, looking at the current traffic pattern that we have.
Yeah, we can plug you some napkin math here. I think, if there's no NAP gateway, which I think was a significant driver of cost in the artifact model from the runner's side, it's probably just going to be to your point, well, I think we do get dinged for egress because it's multi-region buckets, unless we've decided to go with a single region bucket. But I think, yes, we can take that up further.
So Pages talks directly to the storage bucket, unless you say that it should talk differently. But currently on GitLab.com, it talks directly.
Yeah, no, I think we can sort of add up what pieces we might be involved in and get to a number. Thanks. It's a good point on the trade-off of spinning disks versus effectively paying a reduced cost for object storage and then the inter-zone egress.
Yeah, if nothing else, now you should be able to tie to a specific customer every request versus now, which is compute and disk as a big blob that. All right, so moving on, Sid, you had asked for a documenting deployment technologies. The distribution team has been working through that, and they're down to an MR that actually outlines all of those. The MR is currently under discussion, so I expect that it will be merged soon.
Cool. Yeah, I look at Jason's last comment. That's great. I think we should make sure we rename GitLab Orchestrator to GitLab Terraform to prevent confusion about the direction there.
I would argue that I can take it out. But there is a number of things that are Terraform, and the orchestrator is far more than just Terraform. So I can change the content, but that label is not accurate enough.
Josh, I thought we would simplify that. What's going on?
Yeah, so we're working through a couple different existing tools. Right now, PEB is looking quite promising. Out of all the automation tools in GitLab, they all have both Terraform and Ansible. And so Ansible seems to be the consensus on the tool that is best for managing the configuration and the highest value component actually that is being built. The Terraform itself in discussions is not that hard to replicate. It's the Ansible that does all the configuration management that is actually the really important piece in the heart and which is harder to replicate.
Okay, what is PEB?
PEB is the performance environment builder. And so we're kind of, it has support for all reference architectures on GCP today, has support for upgrades, does not do zero downtime upgrades. The orchestrator has some better quality of life improvements. Oh, sorry, my back.
Is it on my side or can other people hear Josh?
I never had a problem.
Yeah, I could hear Josh.
Okay, Josh, sorry, it's on my side.
Okay, I'll try and, sorry, talk a little slower as well. The PEB is the Performance Environment Builder. It's the quality tool that Grant has been building to easily deploy reference architectures. We'll talk about more of this in the retrospective here, but effectively it supports today the all reference architectures on GCP. It has support for upgrades, does not do zero downtime, but again, it still leverages Terraform and Ansible, with the Terraform being relatively simple and a lot of the complex logic in Ansible. And that's a pattern that is replicated across all the automation tools that we have seen.
Okay, so then maybe the problem I have is more with like, we had customer success make something, we had quality make something, there was another Terraform thing, and then the solution was to make a force standard. Like, are we getting that resolved? Because yep. I've not heard about anything, and I just keep seeing GitLab Orchestrator, which for me means the force standard and not what our customers are using. And I think every week going by that we don't resolve that is a bit wasteful.
Yeah, I'd comment there a little bit. We have paused Orchestrator, so there's no further work going into Orchestrator at this point in time. So we are not continuing down parallel paths. We can talk more about the retrospective here, but once we have it, now that 13.6.5 is done, but we are looking to basically align on which tool to go forward with. I think it probably makes sense to have PEB, but we're looking at the overall matrix of support and what features. Since they're so common in tooling and automation with Terraform and Ansible, we could cobble things together. But we will standardize down to fewer. And Professional Services also has buy-in to standardize on either Orchestrator or PEB. So we were reducing those. So it'll go from PEB, Orchestrator, and proliferate to either PEB or Orchestrator. And
I'm still hearing you, and at least part of your audio is fully on my side, but it's
having trouble hearing you, Sid.
Sorry?
We're having trouble hearing you, Sid.
Okay, so let me try to find that one.
So I would like to summarize what Josh says. We are trying to consolidate to one single solution. But regarding what technologies we want to use, Steve, do you think it helps that we set up a separate session to discuss about, because all the tools are using the same tool stack, Chef, Terraform, and Ansible. So we may need we would like to give you an overview of all the tools are using this.
Was it directed at me?
Yeah, just to repeat.
Sorry, I missed part of that. I was switching networks. I don't want to bother people in this group anymore with this. Josh, maybe plan 25 minutes to talk me through the latest and greatest here. I'm super concerned we still are not settling on a single tool. So I want to know. I want to know more.
Yep, I'll book time on your calendar.
Thanks.
All right, Christopher and I already discussed the sidekick and NFS, so in the interest of time, I'll move on to the what's next. So as Camille mentioned, most of the engineering work for NFS is done. We still have a ton of migration work to do on GitLab.com, but I think this group can start refocusing on next steps, Helm charts. And one of the first things we need to do, and thanks, Chan, there is already an issue to essentially map out what the reference architectures look like in cloud native. So we need to get that done before we can actually proceed full on with, like I know there is some work that can be done on Helm, but without these cloud native reference architectures, we're actually kind of shooting in the dark. So I'll track that issue and I'll work with folks to make that a reality. Okay, and then Camille, I think you have some points on the migration of pages. I don't know that we need to go into detail with that. We have 3 minutes left.
Not really. I think that I will need help with rollout for GitLab.com. I mean provisioning buckets. So if you could look at the point E, and there is also cloud native point F.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that and I'll get you what you need. Let me assign that to me. Whoops. All right, it looks like that is everything that we have today. There are no discussion items. Thank you, everyone.